So one of the ways that I show generosity in my life is I like to cook for other people. And one time I was planning a big meal to make for my family, a piece that revolved around mango salsa as the pièce de résistance. So I went to the grocery store and I found my way to the produce section. There, standing before the mangoes, I reached out to find a ripe one, testing each fruit with my hands for some give, for a bit of tenderness that would tell me it was ready to eat that night. I didn't have days to wait for a mango to ripen, and as I searched, my heart began to sink at the realization that there were no ripe mangoes in the pile. Alongside me, searching, had been another set of hands, a young woman with headphones on, having an exuberant phone call. She and I had danced around one another's search, and I felt that little rush of competition, the urgency that perhaps there was one in the pile and I needed to find it first. But there was none. And as I began to resign myself to making a different meal, she simply handed over 2 perfectly ripe mangoes to me, 3 still in her cart, and began to walk away. I was momentarily stunned. I tried to thank her, but she was distracted and already moving on. It seemed casual for her. So easily had she handed over nearly half her bounty and changed my day for the better. I felt a little flush of embarrassment that I had been trying to compete with her to find the mango first. And yet her generosity had been so simple and left a deep impression on me. I wrote about it in my journal that night. What was most remarkable about it was the ease with which she handed them over. She didn't hesitate for a second when she realized I needed something that she had. That quick calculation, that she had more than enough. She was practiced in her generosity. It was a habit for her. That effortlessness with which she saw me, really saw me, needing through the strangeness, through the mask and the phone call she was on, and I was touched. She embodied generosity in this ease and the quickness and the way she was attuned to others around her and not just her own needs. She gave to me freely, without fanfare, without casual, and she was pretty casual about the whole exchange. And maybe in this moment, I'm making a big deal out of nothing. But I swear there was something in that moment that felt like an inspired blessing. Moments like these, ordinary moments like these, small inspired blessings, they show up to me as the embodied action of our principles that keep me going during hard times. In this moment with this woman and the mangoes, I felt the living truth of our 7th principle, that interdependent web of all existence of which we are each a part. Each of us is a part of this interdependent web. It means we are all dependent. I'm dependent. You are dependent. We depend on each other. We live in a society which lies to us about this. Wealth and its accumulation insulate us from dependence. It allows us a false sense of security that we don't need others. Poor and working class people live each day aware of interdependence, but the rich can obscure this truth with spending. Pay a driver to pick you up from an airport instead of asking a friend. Buy new furniture instead of relying on hand-me-down couches from grandparents. Host a catered dinner party instead of a potluck. But think about it the other way. If you need to get home from the airport with no dollars in your pocket, you're making a phone call that asks someone in your life to meet you with generosity, with their time, with their gas money. If you finally move into an apartment for yourself and you have nowhere to sit, nowhere to rest your head, if someone in your life doesn't meet you with generosity, a couch they no longer need, a bed frame that's rusting in the basement, you need them. You want to gather your people near to break bread with your loved ones, but you don't have much in the way of the pantry or the grocery, and your loved ones show up and suddenly there is enough. Casseroles and tinfoil pans overflowing with an acknowledgement that we are all hungry for each other. But the lie of it all is that we're told there's There's valor in being able to buy yourself out of needing a ride. We're told there's honor and nobility in being independent. We are born dependent, my beloveds, and you will die dependent. Independence is a kind of delusion, a kind of comfy lie we tell ourselves that serves us in the short term, but long term, it leaves our souls brittle and fragile to the moment when our interdependence is revealed. So, in order to remind ourselves of our interdependence, we must make living truth of our seventh principle. We must inoculate ourselves against the lie of individualism. We must vaccinate ourselves against greed. And greed here is not the Disney cartoon of the villain hovering over a treasure trove of gold. Greed is the factory preset. It's the default setting. It's the mentality that we all share, that we could run out at any moment and we should look for ourselves first and foremost. Greed is the other public health crisis that plagues this nation. I think if we accept the truth of this without shame, you will begin to see the ways in which we must develop habits and practices that protect us from it, that unbraid from our lives the impulse to keep it all for ourselves. The woman with the mangoes was so used to giving of herself, of her things, that she was limber with her generosity, smooth as silk. She could have stiffened, pretending I wasn't there, leaning into the obliviousness that she had with her headphones. She could have wrapped herself tighter around the mangoes she had, covering the truth of her bounty instead of sharing it. She didn't feel that the mangoes were delightfully hers, having beat me to the selection, which was maybe where I would have been. She didn't take credit for having gotten there first. She simply had more than she needed, and someone else didn't have as many as they wanted. There was nothing brittle about her generosity. It was supple. I think of generosity this way, as a guard against brittleness, a guard against fragility, and a testament to strength. So try replacing the ease with which she parted with her mangoes with the ease of letting go of money. That's what we talk about a lot when we talk about generosity. If we want our generosity to be practiced, we have to do it regularly, like a daily vitamin you take, like those Viactive chews that pretended to be candy to guard against the brittle bones of osteoporosis. Here we take our dose of parting with money as a dose of generosity, as a dose against the brittle bones of greed. We want the marrow of our being to radiate with the faith that there is enough in this world, there is abundance, and that we are the living testament to that truth. This community has already shown me incredible generosity, a generosity of spirit unlike I had ever encountered. When I first arrived here at First Unitarian, Phyllis Belk insisted that I come to Simpson House for lunch, where she took me to the cafeteria and introduced me to everyone as her minister. And I burned with pride as having been generously claimed by this woman with her drawl and her infectious laugh. I was her minister then. And over lunch, I told her how my office used to be a closet and that I was trying to create something inviting and cozy out of the space. "You need art for the walls?" she asked. And I left that day with a framed and matted piece of art. And it hangs prominently in my office, a reminder that this community has generosity in its bones. And I know about dependence too. Your generosity, it pays my heating bills. It pays for the birthday gifts for my father. If you ever wondered what happened to your pledge, some of it pays my salary. I'm dependent on your generosity in a way that ties me to you, that binds me to you in a profound and real way. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not out to prove my worth. I simply point it out because what we do here in this community is life-sustaining in a multitude of ways. You are already so generous. You are already doing it. But that work is never done. You need the booster shot. The factory setting that tells us to hoard is like the sheepdog nipping at our heels. It is the neon red sign that blinks through the window at night, keeping us awake when we should be asleep. Back when my wife and I received our stimulus checks, we knew we had to give one away. We were both gainfully employed and we had financial security. And we had to give it away quickly because I knew that I might grow accustomed to the narcotic security of seeing those savings when I logged into my account. I had to nip the greed in the bud, take the vitamin, grow the marrow of generosity in my bones by parting with it quickly and without ceremony. I didn't like doing it. I'm no more immune to that greed instinct than any of you, simply because I name it and I preach about it. I'm in the same boat. But I know what's good for my soul. And I know that what is good for my soul isn't always easy and it isn't always appealing. And sometimes we don't have money to give. But I believe that generosity of spirit can heal the wounds of this world too. Generosity of spirit is to laugh heartily at a joke when someone tries hard to be funny. Generosity of spirit is letting someone cut you in line and not making too big a deal. Generosity of spirit is the way you smile at your neighbor through the mask, even when they cannot see. And these things take practice too. It can be seductive to stay enclosed, to stay guarded against the daily onslaught of hard things. But by practicing generosity, by giving of yourself freely, by sharing the inner light of yourself, the little light of yours, it keeps you safe against greed. It keeps you nimble to sidestepping the ways of the world that ask for hardness and coldness and apathy. One of the tools I use when I think about practicing generosity, when I think about giving freely of myself, of my inner light, of my love, of my money, or of my time, I try to lessen my sense of ownership over these things. They were given to me so that I might give them away. The love that I have to give, given to me by my parents and my sister and my wife, I pass to you. The stimulus check was never mine to have, given to me so that I might spread it out elsewhere. The time I have given to me by the universe, which each day gifts me another chance at living. So I share my time with others. Remove yourself from the equation. Lessen the urge to own things, to claim things as yours and only yours. Generosity. What is mine is yours, and yours is mine. Interdependence. We share in this life, and we share of the hardship and the pain, and we share of the joy and the love. My bounty is yours. Your grief is mine. The words of Rios's poem echo. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big though small, diamond in wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn thin, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and over again. Giving is first and every time hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue and I gave you yellow. Together, we are simple green. You gave what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. And together we made something greater from the difference. Giving has many faces. Each of yours is a generous face. I know this, deep in my soul. So may we go forth with a willingness to part with mangoes and money, to part with our love and our laughter, to know of our dependence and to acknowledge our need for one another. May you know generosity in your bones, and may you be limber with your spirit. Blessed be, and amen.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.